Um, Little Rishikesh began a number of years ago at our home. I had been to some retreats with Krishna Das and Ram Das, and it came at a time in my life where I had kind of done all the things that people said, if you do this, you'll be happy. I mean, the home and the big house and the career and a lot of those kind of things. There was kind of an emptiness and kind of a disappointment with and something in me knew that there was something else, something more. And I heard Krishna Das doing kirtan. And I said, that's whatever that is, it exists, it's real. I got to go find that. So I went to retreats and hung out with those guys and did a lot of kirtan. And at some point bought a harmonium and said, let's do this. And invited some friends over on a Saturday night, and we sang the kirtans, the same tunes that Krishna Das did. And it worked. I mean, yeah, it's here, the presence is here. And so I said, you want to do it again next week? And they said, sure. And we've been doing it ever since.
How long has that been?
Well, over 20 years ago, yeah. Somewhere around 2002, right after Y2K. Well, Krishna Das said, you kind of catch this thing like you might catch a cold. You kind of catch it. And there's no doubt that I caught whatever that is. I mean, it's more like I fell in love with it. But it's a resonance, it's a vibration, it's an attuning into these mantras. And yet there's still an element that's unspeakable. I can read books about mantras, I can talk about mantras, but it's the actual living essence of the mantra that gets transmitted from one to another. And it has been for centuries, I believe. There's a happiness that arises spontaneously upon doing the practice. It's a connection to some part of ourselves that's beyond the mind, beyond our thoughts, beyond our understanding even. I heard an interview with Krishna Das not too long ago, and he was saying that it's not him doing the singing. And I'm like, what? and yet I kind of understand, because I'm not a vocal trained guy, I'm not. I just get behind the harmonium and we start singing, and whatever happens is what happens. I don't think about it a whole lot. I just know that I want to do it as much as I can. And not even sure I could tell you why. It's more like I disappear and something else takes over. So trying to recollect after the fact and talk about it and say like, oh, I had this experience, or I had this. It's the one that's telling you these words is not what has the experience. It's the experience itself. It's sort of in the absence of time that comes through. It's like this, we become part of something bigger than ourselves, if I can say it like that. And there's a letting go into this stream of life, into this flow of the mantra, into the music, into the sounds, into the rhythm, letting go into that. And we forget about all this other stuff, our problems and what we got to do, and our, the mental lees that's always going on up here. It's just, we forget about that, and we're into this other thing, which is a stream of consciousness, stream of life. And we permit it to have its way with us for a short period of time. It's a practice. But it's not a mental practice. It's a different kind of practice. Well, the word practice is an old word that comes from, I took piano lessons as a child, for example, and I was told to practice every day. Mm-hmm. So it has the word kind of denotes a kind of discipline, but kirtan's not a discipline. So the word practice means we're going to do this on a regular basis. We're going to get together. We have an appointment. We have a date. We have a time. We have a place. Let's get together and do our practice. But the practice is letting go of all practice.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the discipline is putting together the time and a place and that sort of thing. You could say that, yeah. Yeah. The reason I hesitate is because when I'm making an effort to show up, then there's a focus on me that I'm trying to get rid of at the same time. So it's words get tricky here because spirituality is, we tend to think that we're getting spiritual, but it's not quite like that. We're letting go of the one who's not spiritual so that what is spiritual can come into our lives, bless it, take over, that sort of thing. And without that part of our lives functional, it's a very dry experience. Life is. It's empty. It's chores. It's taking care of business stuff. The only way I can talk about this is to introduce a concept called non-duality. Right. And I hung out with a teacher named Muji for a number of years. And when I hung out, I went to a lot of satsangs where Muji was the master, a Zen master. And he oftentimes talked about the person being the problem. So my individual idea of myself as a limited being is not reality. Mm-hmm. Reality is much more than the limited idea. The idea of Tom or the idea of Jim is just an idea, and then we try to get that image we try to mold the world into what we think that image is supposed to be and respond to in this world. And so we're still in the realm of mental manipulation, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so letting go of that. So what you're talking about is something that takes over. That's not Tom's image of himself. It's not a self-image. It's letting go of that. And then what we really are can move into the picture. And whatever that is not any different than you or anybody else in the room. It's much closer to the source of our own existence. The word we sort of insinuates that there's a collection of people. And I think that the consciousness itself is not individual like that. I often use the flock of birds that fly up and down the Platte River, the geese. They lift at the same time, they turn at the same time, they descend at the same time. They're not. There's something like one movement of consciousness, and they're all part of that. And I think we do that. Somehow we're communicating, we're connected, but not as individuals, as consciousness itself, manipulating, if you will, what's happening. And recognizing that is part of spiritual awakening, I think. I think of it mostly like an invitation. Like, we're going to get together and we're going to sing, and you're invited to come and be a part of whatever this is. And my hope is that other people who come will experience what I experience, which is a letting go. And, you know, one of the mantras is Satchitananda, right? Which are, our true nature is bliss. That's what we really are, is happiness. And we don't have to make effort to be happy. We already are happy. And we start singing together and we discover that there's happiness here. And we don't even know where it comes from. But to be in that stream for a little while, to taste, just to have a taste of this. And so the invitation is come, sit at the table with us, sup with us, eat with us, sing with us, be with us, and discover for yourself some of the love and the beauty that this life has to offer that we're not aware of because we're too busy thinking all the time about, you know, what we got to do.
Yeah.
Little Rishikesh is the name of our community. It's a sangha. It's a congregation, to use a Western word. It's a community works. It's a gathering of folks who have kind of caught the drift of this, whatever this is. You know, they kind of caught it somehow. Like, yeah, we want more of this. We want to find out more about what this is. We want to get together. We enjoy the company of each other. So it's the name of our community. We meet in different places around town at the moment. Maybe someday we'll have our own place, but no. Little Rishikesh is a town in northern India. Some people call it the yoga capital of the world. People from all over the world, you know. It's amazing because, you know, in the world there's all these different countries arguing with each other. And you go there, and it's people from all these different countries getting along just fine. Mm-hmm. You know, we should invite the leaders of these countries to come to Rishikesh. I think earlier I mentioned that you kind of catch this thing like a cold, and so it's an invitation to check it out, find out for yourself if it's something you'd like to do or not, because it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Mm-hmm. You know, God's menu is very varied, and there's a lot of different practices, a lot of different ways that people can facilitate their own spiritual awakening through whatever calls them, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. So kirtan is bhakti yoga is the path of the heart, path of devotion, the path of honoring this yearning to connect with who and what we really are. And there's something in us that knows this, and we hear this thing, hear bhakti, we hear kirtan, we hear this music, we hear this chanting, and something's like, what is this? And so if you have that curiosity and interest, you know, you might be a candidate for the community. But, you know, there's a lot of people are very mental. Jnana yoga, for example, is a path of inquiry, a path of talking about and discussing, maybe even debating, these principles, these ideas, with the goal of discovering something at the end of the conversation or the end of the practice. You know, karma yoga, the path of service. Some people, Mother Teresa, for example, someone who just devoted their whole life to serving mankind. And through that, they have some kind of an awakening. You know, Hatha yoga, that's popular in the West, is, you know, physical, you know, using the body to let go of all the little pockets and things that resist and facilitate an awakening through that. So there's many methods. I'm drawn to bhakti yoga because, and I have been since I was a child. I mean, I would sing in church, and certain songs, certain things would just almost make me cry. I mean, it's like, I love this stuff. I love singing to God, and I always have. And so kirtan is the connection of a love for religion, a love for spirituality, a love for God, and connecting that with a musical talent of some kind, put them together, and then, you know, so much of music is about love, especially popular music, right? You know, all the songs about love. this is the real love that doesn't disappear after the top 40 wears off. There's a love that doesn't fade. And so Bhakti Yoga is putting music to that. And it takes us to that place of being at one with the love that we actually are. A lot of people talk about love. A lot of people talk about oneness and unity, and that's great. I'm someone who is in favor of actually experiencing that beyond the words about it. And music has been described as the language of emotion, and that's an emotion, that yearning to be what we are. It's a yearning, it's an emotion, it's a wanting, it's a desire. And so we capitalize on that desire to take us in that direction. And music facilitates that. Krishna Das would say that the music is the sweet, it's the candy in which the name is, kind of covered up, so that the name of God, put it in some sweet music, and then let that sweetness take you into the reality, what the words point to, which is a reality beyond the word itself.
Cool.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Well, at the moment, we do a lot of kirtan. We add meditation to it. Meditation is sitting together in silence. Kirtan has the effect of quieting the mind, among other things. And so there's always this space at the end of our kirtan where we're just silent and quiet and sort of in this deep, deep peace. And so to honor that by being with that for a while. And there's nothing happening, it's just pure silence. And so I call that meditation. We do drum circles a couple of times a month because it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And some of us were at a drum circle up in the mountains one weekend. A friend of ours would do an annual kind of barbecue drum circle thing up at his place in the Conifer, in the foothills here around Denver. And we said, this is fun, let's do this at because we have the space for it. The house in Windermere that we used to call Little Rishikesh, big place. And so we invited some people to bring the drums and let's see what happens. And it's just it's a good reason to get together and have a good time. And every now and then, people are drumming together, and this thing happens where we're all on the same beat, one rhythm, one voice, and everybody knows it when we're in there. Mm-hmm. By in there, I mean we're like, and then we'll get off, right? And then we'll hunker and try to get back into that space where we're all playing together, because it feels so good when everybody's together, one breath, one beat, and it has a spiritual aspect to it that's pretty profound. Yeah. Show up for a kirtan. That's it. And come back for another one, come back for another one. We have a little social activity around kirtans. We have, we meet ahead of time and visit and talk. We always have tea and snacks, And so fellowship, in the ordinary word of fellowship, like any church, any sangha, any group, has what they call fellowship. Is a very important part of spirituality. The gathering of people who want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And it's not related to, the politics, for example. No. Dogma tends to be something people develop after the fact. This is a fascinating aspect of spirituality, the marriage between spirituality and the person. Because spirituality it wakes up. It wakes up. It's not the person that wakes up. It's the spiritual. It's a part of us that's already awake, recognizes itself as always awake and always has been. And it's got certain qualities. And once you've had that experience, something goes back up into the head and tries to explain it, to talk about it, communicate it. And that's not quite it. So we're always trying to get back to that. And so we start making up rules. We start making up dogmas. We start making up, but the recognition is that it's after the fact that those things happen. That which is awake in us does not need any dogma. It's already awake. It's already what we are. We've always been that. And so it's only the person that makes dogmas and rules, and freedom is freedom from that.
Yeah.
I think everybody reaches a certain point in their lives where they find themselves kind of scratching their head, like, what are we doing here? What's this really about? I've done my best. I've cleaned up my act. I've been a good boy or girl. I've tried to help other people, and there's something missing. And that's the place that I found myself at. Something's missing. And I've done everything they said to do that would make you happy, and I'm not happy, and I don't understand why. And in the pursuit of success, in the pursuit of what we believe will satisfy, we lose a piece of ourselves that's original to what we are. It's the original love, the fabric of our being out of which we're actually constructed and made. And, we hear that God is love, right? I mean, from the time I was raised in a church, from the time I was young, God is love. And then, if God is love, and why am I so unhappy? I don't understand, right? So this stream that we're in, that we call Little Rishikesh, it's like a river of beingness. And the nature of our true nature is kindness and love, patience, forbearance. And it's tactical. It can be felt. It can be known. And so the invitation is, if that calls to you, if it calls to you, please, come sing with us and find out for yourself. And you'll know. And I'm very clear, it's not for everybody, nor should it be. Everybody has to find their own way. Little Rishikesh is a community that offers a particular way of connecting with what we're talking about here. And I'm very clear that there's many paths, one God, many ways to find God. And we offer one that works for people of our ilk, if you could say it that way. And you'll know, you've been to Kirtan, once you hear it and you recognize there's something there, what is this? You want to go back, do it some more, find out. And, the metaphor I heard many, many years ago, I did TM. It seems like everybody's done TM at some point in their life. And Maharishi, Mahesh Yogi, would say that it's like taking a strip of cloth. And the way you dye cloth is you dip it in the dye, right? And then you put it out in the sun and it fades. You put it back in the dye, fades some more. But each time you put it back in the sun, it retains more of the dye. And at some point, it's completely saturated. And that's sort of what this is. We keep going in, and then go back into our lives. But some of that comes with us. And the goal of any spiritual practice actually is to have that experience permeate all the other aspects of your life. So you're not just feeling good when you're at kirtan and not feeling good when you're at the grocery store. I mean, the idea is to this is life itself, and it happens all the time. And this joy of being alive is available 24/7. But we don't know that. So we go in and out and in and out. And that's my experience anyway.
Right on. I think that's a good about 30 minutes there.